Nkosi Sikelele, Africa, Malu Pakeniso Pandoayo, Iswe Metando Zo Yetu Nkosi Sikelele. Welcome to another episode of It Is Our Duty. We are grateful to be here in 2022. We had a wonderful start of our year last week, our segment from Kwanzaa with the political prisoners and the principles by bringing in Habari Ghani. What is the news? What is the news this week? This is our second week in 2022. As you all know, we have always been apologizing. We only come on once a week, Sunday, when there's 365 days of the year, and 24/7, we should be doing this work called Political Education, steering Black radical traditional information. The information our children do not get in the schools, the information that some of our colleges haven't provided for us, the information so that we can come together and unite as those before us. As those that have passed, we send out our hearts and care and condolences, knowing that education and knowledge has been the way that we can to be victorious, but how colonialism has played a role in even who has passed from this pandemic, and what are the games that have been played in steering against Black folks and the African diaspora, and how even our motherland has not received support in those same ways, where their bodies aren't taken care of health-wise and given the supports, as well as the land of our motherland hasn't received, and have constantly gone against things such as AFRICOM and colonialism. This week, we bring #No celebration without legislation. I see a song coming. It sounds kind of trendy, right? Which is the whole thing of branding. But no celebration without legislation, folks. It's something I'm glad to be steering in this segment, because tomorrow is a national holiday. Yes, our King, Martin Luther King, was able to be victorious in setting things up, one called the Civil Rights Movement and the voting rights, and acting so that the South first was able to have us as a people to vote. Unfortunately, the reason why we have #No celebration without legislation, things have been reversed. And most likely since number 45 has been out of office. But that doesn't conclude the fact that a lot of us, because of Martin Luther King's legacy of going door to door, side by side, street by street, community by community, church to church, to getting the voting acts back in the day, right? We're able to get number 46 in office. And so I will not say their names today, either presidents, any of them, because we're talking about Martin Luther King. We're talking about how he first made sure we were unified as a people to go and fight, right? If it was Black Lives Matter right now, Black Voters Matter, all of the people that came through to put a new legislation in after 45, a new leader. And now we are with number 46, who in his regime will go down to have that these voting rights that were clearly part of Martin Luther King's legacy have been reversed. From what I hear, there's 14 states, family. 14 states that need you to do something that I've done today. And those 14 states, their voting rights for African Americans, for those Black and brown individuals that need to have their votes tallied when the next elections come. We need to get to these legislators. We need you. If you're like me in California, New York, it doesn't matter. 52 states, Hawaii, Wisconsin, and Alaska, I don't care. You need to make a call tomorrow. Ding, ring, ring. Call your legislator, state rep, state senator, city council, and demand that they call you back. That is the key. Don't just call them and think it's over. That they call you back to let you know what they've done to support us getting back the legislation in 14 states of our Martin Luther King hero. Tomorrow is his day. We wouldn't have had this day off. So you can clearly make those calls. You can clearly leave a message on their voicemail. You can clearly find their email on Google, the information highway of every legislator in this country. We're counting on you, people. We're counting on you. This is the Black radical tradition to give you political education. This is where political education stands, hand in hand with our action and our movement. For Martin Luther King, we have to do it hand in hand. He was the one that taught us there is nothing to just say it and go in and talk to the president like he did. He first met with the people. He brought his demand to the president. And when the president didn't like it, he left that office and rallied the people again until things were done. We thank the unions. We thank all those that were involved in the movement to get another regime. But this president and this vice president has not stopped the fact that 14 states, it could be more, have reversed this legislation. And it's important that we understand, and I'm going to put it here on the side of me so you'll know that it says why Martin Luther King Jr.'s family wants action over parades and celebrations this year. It says here, we will not accept empty promises in pursuit of my father's dreams for a more equal, and just America. I'm actually going to take that right there. So they're saying, we don't want y'all to get into events and have a parade and the breakfasts and the luncheons and the mention to must needed day of work off, and all in the name of this man who did all this work to get us to a place to understand the beauty of what happens when we come together as a people. It's up to you. Make it count. You do not have to be white, black, brown, indigenous, or other. Anyone can make these calls tomorrow for his day, because you got the day off. Everyone should be making these calls. We will not accept promises in pursuit of my father's dreams for a more equal and just America, is what Martin Luther King III is saying, and why he's asking us to not do any celebrations tomorrow. Yes, let's breathe that in real quick, folks. Hold it and release. My grandmother would say, we've come this far by faith, leaning on, right? Y'all remember that song? And so there's a place where we've come too far by faith to go in reverse, too far to not allow us to see that the fight for those 14 states and my people and your people who are there, those voting acts that were reversed, that's not included in our liberation, and that's not included in our freedom. Whatever your fight is, may it be connected to the fight of those that are going to have a hard way if we don't get this right, if we don't make these calls tomorrow. No celebration without legislation. So yes, that is where we are today. We are starting off anew with actions and demands and political education, because some of y'all just want to be entertained, right? I wanted to do some more dancing and house music and meditation and things like that in our show. But to really make this different than what you see on prime time and everywhere else, we have to give you all some work. We've got to steer that political education and being educators in the mind and in college. Theology is important, because we cannot have a fight and be strategic if we don't have the knowledge. But if we are sitting with this knowledge, what we're finding, There are those that have this knowledge and they're not getting to our babies. They're not getting into our schools. They're not getting to the communities which we have access to. So what is good? What good is being academically sound in the rhetoric of the Black radical tradition if we're not bringing it to the people? And if the people cannot utilize it? Please call today, tomorrow, the senator, the congressperson, the representative, and your city council, and tell them hashtag no celebration without legislation. You want to hear back from them. Remember, they're getting paid. All their assistants are getting paid. Actually, we pay in our taxes for their interns and everything else. So I have them contact you back, right? And ask them, what are you doing? What have you spoken and had lunch with that state representative, one of the 14 states? Yeah, because they have lunch very often and parties, maybe not during COVID, but they have contact with them. And your dollars you can tell them directly, we want your money that I'm paying you to go sit in that office, go make a statement, go down the hallway with your mask on and tell them that you want to see some change, that the voting rights has to reflect on this day, Martin Luther King Day, even if the message doesn't get to them tomorrow because they may be off, but the message gets to them on Tuesday, you expect that they reply and give you a heads up on what the conversation was. And you can call them back all week too, by the way. You can send them on their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, because all of them are doing this, right? We know 45 was out there with his little Twitters, but all of them have that, and you can put in their connection to you in your city, state, and local area. Hashtag no celebration without legislation. So on this note, we are now going to speed up to explain a little bit further and how and what it would look like if we steered this love, this Black love of resilience into our communities.
Let me ask you a question.
What would it look like if we were to bring about this whole...
Our parents' generation could eat
that's
steak
too much
potato,
noise there.
sugary sweets,
and
smoke cigarettes.
That is why I had to do this first.
And we support.
Yeah. Whoops, my apologies. We are now going to look at this no celebration without legislation. We like to make it fun because we've got to make this movement fun. We got to put in the arts. But there's also something we've got to do. We've got to show you all things that have been hidden in other rooms. I've been to find out that once we do make it as legislators, and once we finally get the Fortune 500 company that civil rights fought for, we forgot that we wanted to remind our children, right, because we fought for the affirmative action and all that, to not get sold out, to not forget where you came from, and letting the word and the information not only be for the sacred ones, right? Not to get just the funding for the beans that they give us, to not go to the other community members. So we're going to blast it to the homeless, whoever's listening, to the young blood, right? Everyone should have this information. And what this information is, to show you no celebration without legislation, is the California legislation on AB 3121 that's happening now. We're going to get involved with that. We're going to hear today some of what they're saying, that this may be the first state in the union. Forget about right now 45 and 46, right? They already did us wrong with Martin Luther King, not having the 14 states be all good. California may be the first state for reparations. And here are some of the dialogue for the first day, where they've had the December 7th, 2021 Reparations Task Force meeting to introduce this. This is part 1 of 5 that was happening on December 7th. And there's a part 2, which is December 8th, four parts. Let's listen in, because it is imperative that you'll hear more on what we can do.
Today is Tuesday, December 9th, and the time is 9:01. The AB 3121 Task Force meeting is now called to order. Good morning. My name is Camila Moore, and I am the chair of the task force. Before we begin, let us have the staff do a roll call for attendance and establishing whether we have a quorum. Parliamentarian Johnson?
Yes, thank you. Chair Moore? Vice Chair Brown? Vice Chair Brown?
Present.
Member Bradford? Member Grills?
Present.
Member Holder?
Present.
Member Jones Sawyer? Member Scott Lewis?
Present.
Member Tamaki?
Present.
And Member Montgomery Stepp?
Present.
And I will call again Member Jones Sawyer? And Member Bradford? Madam Chair, there are 9 task force members, and the number needed for a quorum is 5. The number present is 7. Madam Chair, a quorum has been established.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Johnson. Members of the task force and members of the public, welcome to the AB 3121 Reparations Task Force December hearing. The task force scopes and powers are predicated on AB 3121, a legislative bill authored by California Secretary of State Shirley Weber and signed into law by California Governor Gavin Newsom in September 2020. The law requires the 9-member task force to examine slavery that existed in the United States, discrimination in the public and private sectors against those who were enslaved and their descendants, and the lingering negative effects of the institution of slavery. The law requires the task force to recommend how California will issue a formal apology, how to eliminate discrimination in existing state laws, and how to establish new programs, policies, or projects to address the group's findings. The task force will also determine how any potential compensation should be calculated and who would be eligible, as well as additional forms of rehabilitation or restitution. Today is our last meeting of the year. We've been meeting since June of 2021. We held our first substantive hearing on September 23rd and September 24th, where we discussed the transatlantic slave trade, the institution of slavery, and the impetus and implications of the Great Migrations. Our second substantive hearing occurred on Tuesday and Wednesday, October 12th and 13th, where we discussed more contemporary harms against Black Americans, including in housing and education segregation, environmental racism, racism in banking, tax, and labor, and the racial wealth gap. Today, we will focus on topics concerning infrastructure, gentrification, and homelessness, and we will continue our conversation around the community of eligibility. And tomorrow, we will have a panel on entertainment, arts, and culture. Without further ado, I would like to turn to item number 2 on our agenda, which is the public comment period. And I'll now recognize Ms. Aisha Martin-Walton. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Moore and task force members and the public. My name is Aisha Martin-Walton. I'm with the Department of Justice, and we are now moving to public comment. Public comment will be for 1 hour. Each individual is limited to 3 minutes for public comment. At the 3-minute mark, your microphone will be turned off and you'll not be able to, unfortunately, turn yourself back on. However, there is a public comment period again tomorrow at the same time, and there will be more public meetings, and we welcome everyone in the community to make comments in the future. You may also submit written comments at any time via email at reparationstaskforce@doj.ca.gov. To participate in public comment today, please use the raised hand function. You can find that button On the upper right-hand side of the screen, on the sidebar, there's a shape of a hand. Once you click on that, it will prompt a raised hands feature. On our end, we will accept your raised hand. You will have to click continue, and once you are accepted and brought into the meeting as a presenter, you'll be automatically unmuted. Once it is your turn to comment, you will be unmuted and you'll have 3 minutes. At the end of your comment period, you'll be again muted and drop back down to attendee. We will accept the raised hand features as they come in. Once the person in front of you is done speaking, Trini Hurtado, also with DOJ, will say your name and prompt you, and you may begin speaking. Please note there's about a 20-second delay between the attendee and presenter mode. So please keep that in mind as you are being promoted to presenter and begin speaking. Okay, we will begin. Trini, do we have a first commenter?
Yes, our first commenter is Angela Nirvana. Angela, you've been unmuted. Please begin speaking.
How to gentrify freedmen from the state of California. Fugitive Slave Act, land theft, lack of business loans, the war on drugs while giving the opioid addicted resources, the war on poverty, which leads to Black on Black crime and murder, redlining into environmentally racist communities and tenement housing, the weaponization of immigration against freedmen to neutralize us economically, and now to neutralize our vote, preschool to prison pipeline, private prison industrial complex, foster care after the government successfully tears the Black family apart with the aforementioned, giving away our reparations and protections to refugees, immigrants, illegals, and LGBTQIA, while freedmen are being slaughtered by the KKK that are being hired in the police forces throughout the country, then emboldening the race soldiers with more of our tax dollars to gentrify us out of our communities, overpaying us the reparations we are long overdue, and putting an end to qualified immunity. Removing freedmen teachers from the classroom, siphoning public school dollars from the Black community and using it to give a private school education to whites and immigrants whose median incomes range from $56,000 to $97,000. Make Prop 209 law to take away our affirmative action while implementing Spanish as a necessity for a job interview, knowing freedmen don't have social capital at the hiring tables, nor the complexion for the protection to secure the job, even if they speak Spanish as fluently as Pedro. Lab manufactured pandemics, then vaccine mandates to force us out of education and the few jobs we possess. 12.3% unemployment rate, 45,000 median income in a state where the median home price is $750,000. And how can we benefit from the equity that's accrued if we're fortunate enough to own a home with this salary? We cannot. Masking the failure of freedmen by a government who allows descendants of slave traders with money into the country and making them more American than freedmen with our affirmative action, just to name a few. I want to thank you in advance, Task Force, for ensuring our reparations is far more robust than the housing voucher issued in Evanston, Illinois. I want to thank you in advance for understanding that freedmen have been legislated to the bottom of this Titanic as the anchor of this country's capitalism, and therefore are the only group owed reparations. Freedmen, this ain't your fault, but it is if you don't fight back. Do not fail our children like the government at every branch has failed us. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Ms. Nirvana, for your comments. Trini, do we have another public speaker?
Yes, our next speaker is Friday Jones. You've been unmuted.
Hey, good morning. Oh, unmute.
Yes, you're fine. We can hear you.
Perfect. Good morning, task force members. Happy, what in the month is this? November, December. Anyway, my name is Friday Jones, or I am Friday Jones, and my name is Kanta Jones Muhammad. I am a city commissioner for Mayor Garcetti's Los Angeles Reparations Task Force. I'm the co-chair of the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants in the Los Angeles chapter, and our chapter is a member of the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, known as CJEC. And this morning, I am sounding the clarion call Texas congressional member Chip Roy's H.R. 3163, Combating Racist Teaching in Schools Act, would prohibit federal funds from going to any elementary, secondary school, or college that promotes race-based ideologies. This is recreating the dumbing down of America that has McGraw-Hill's fourth grade elementary book, California Changing State, Impact Social Studies, that has an enslaved Black man under a heading that reads, "The Gold Rush Brought a Diverse Population to California." It does not mention slavery at all. Gavin Newsom signed AB 101, the first state in the nation that requires high schools to include ethnic studies in their curriculum just this year. That was created by now Assembly Member Weber, who also wrote the legislation for this task force. White supremacy has an entire government that allows laws like this to be drafted without the health of the nation, let alone the health and the well-being of the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery from being considered. On the latest episode of Politics and Black, entitled The Case for Lineage Reparations, and thank you, Don Tamaki, for being part of that show and sharing your personal story, John Tatiishi shared that he learned about his parents' internment in Japanese war camps during his college education. This bill is an assault to the American people and is intended to uphold white supremacy. Joseph Ryan, a California attorney, should also be disbarred for filing a frivolous lawsuit to stop the transfer of Bruce's Beach to the Bruce family. His lawsuit, like Representative Chip Roy's bill, is an attempt to undermine Supervisor Hahn's creation of a blueprint that other local governments can follow. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, whose family is from Halifax, North Carolina, the same county that my family is from, where the Black Cottons with an E-N are buried in Mary's Chapel in Scotland Neck. They're buried alongside my ancestors. He has drafted S96, which has companion bill HR 3134, Combating Racist Training in the Military Act for 2021, to prevent American history from being taught to service members. These laws are an abomination and they go against our First Amendment rights. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Okay, Trini, next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Jelani Traxler. You have been unmuted. You may now speak.
Yes, thank you all for y'all work and what y'all doing. I've been following this since really prior to y'all first meeting in June. I'm living in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is considered like Chocolate City, but there's like no real robust reparations programs or just strategy in a city that's predominantly Black. So I was just wondering, more of a question, how to get basically what y'all doing in California and what's happening in Illinois kind of carbon copied in this space, because it's just, I don't know, like, and it hasn't really been on any of the local politicians' agendas or really spoken about really on a local and state level. Like, so that's really kind of where I guess my question more than a comment. So.
Mr. Trailer? Is it
Traxler?
Traxler? Hi, this is Aisha Martin Walton with the Department of Justice. The public comments will be noted and will be shared today with the task force members. And so we will take your comment and it'll be on file. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yes. Outside of that, farming and the green justice movement, I see that, some of it's been a part of like reparations language, but I don't know how much like this is being correlated to, the effects of like global warming, the legacy of slavery and how it's not just impacted, the freedmen people, Black descendants, but the planet itself, and the nature of the planet and, essentially bearing the, social, emotional, spiritual damages of that. And then the economy reflecting something that does not care for the earth. I don't know if y'all have, more or less kind of bridged that gap of like the legacy of slavery and the legacy of climate change, basically, because if there's more connection to how a economy like this has shaped the world and left a negative impact, maybe there could be more of a bridging of, white people who may not see reparations as important, actually seeing it as important because it's not just fixing a group of people, but helping to fix the planet too, and restore natural environments and habitats that were lost because of, slave policies driven for economic prosperity for, a handful of people. So yeah, that's really pretty much it. If y'all address that, that'd be great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Trexler, for your comments today. All
Ms.
right,
Martin
Trini.
Walton.
Yes,
The next
Yes.
speaker is, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I got a note from Parliamentarian Johnson to recognize Member Reggie Jones Sawyer. Thank you.
welcome. Good morning. Okay. Do we have
Our
another speaker in the queue?
Yes, we do. The next speaker is Chris L. with CJEC. You've been unmuted. You may now begin speaking.
Hey, good morning, Chris Lobson. I am, of course, with the Coalition for Just and Equitable California, CJEC here in California. I want to do a couple of things, or three things. But I want to first just give you all some thanks. Really, this is the last meeting of the year. I want to thank you for your work this year. I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for your time and your commitment. I want to thank you for really what is a historic task. And I want to thank you for all of the real hard work that you've been putting in. These meetings, I know, are just, part of what you do, right? So I want to thank you. I also want to thank the folks who have been calling in, who have been tuning in, who are doing the live stream right now on ETM Media Group on YouTube. By the way, big shout out to the family there, live streaming this entire thing. I'm moderating comments there, so I'll see you there after this. And I also want to thank Don Tamaki for joining the Oakland, California reparations meeting that happened in, I believe it was last month. Great conversation. You can check out that live streamed or clipped video of that live stream on ETM Media Group on YouTube as well. And then I also want to invite you to this Saturday. There is another California reparations community meeting going on in LA this time, hosted by our LA group, NAASD LA, in conjunction with ETM Media and CJEC as well. That's this Saturday, December 11th, 12 p.m. It's in LA. Pull up if you can. I know Chair Moore is going to be there. Pull up if you can. And then last thing I'll say is just a couple of things. One, I know you're going to deal with the issue of the public chat function. Just my personal opinion that chat function come back on. Understanding, and hearing from folks directly, I think is an important thing. And then also, we're actually hearing from some people in our live stream chat right now that they're having trouble actually getting connected to the Blue Jeans comment and the Blue Jeans chat now. So if you could think about next year having a way for people to just call in, just like have a number for people to just call in without having to use the Blue Jeans app. That would expand people's ability to participate a lot. Thanks much, and have a great day.
Thank you for your comment.
Another speaker?
Yes, we do. The next speaker is Sharice. Sharice, you've been unmuted. You may now begin speaking.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. Good morning to the commission and everyone who's listening. I just want to personally thank the commission for all your hard work. I do a lot of volunteer work, and I know sometimes a simple thank you can make the work a lot easier. And again, I just want to say thank you for all the work and effort you've been putting in for this task force. I was super, super excited when AB 3121 was first passed last year because I said, finally, the nation is going to get an example of what reparations for descendants of American slavery is going to look like and possible policies for other Black Americans. And some of my enthusiasm has been tapered the last couple of months just because the commission has not actually come to a determination of who is eligible for reparations, and because the DOJ, in my opinion, not really engaged the community and the public in a meaningful manner. I would love to not be disappointed where reparations is concerned. Last year I was part of an organization that met with Mayor Garcetti's office, and I was the one who actually presented to him or inquired and requested that he join a reparations coalition. And look what we have now. He's rolled out a commission in Los Angeles. I was not given an opportunity to even getting information about that or given a heads up about it, but kudos to them. And that was a little bit of a disappointment. But I would like to not be disappointed by this commission. And I really ask you to really go back and, look at the people who have helped to get this commission started, this task force started, see what their concerns are, and really, really, get to the point in who is eligible for reparations in the state of California. The world is looking at you. This will be a guideline for other states. And again, thank you so much for your hard work.
Sharice, thank you so much for your comments today.
The next speaker is Cash Gaines. Cash Gaines, you've been unmuted. You may now begin speaking. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, thanks y'all for having me. Hugs to everyone on the panel and to Mr. Tamaki, a deep bow. I first want to say, reading from the newspaper article of 1865, when we were asked by the general of the Union Army, question number 3, state in what manner you think you can take care of yourselves at the end of the Civil War, essentially. Our answer was, and I quote, "The way we can best take care of ourselves is to have land and to turn it and till it by our own labor, that is by the labor of our women and children and old men, and we can soon maintain ourselves and have something to spare." I want to say that there's an article by the homelessvoice.org that says African Americans have the highest rate of homelessness in minorities for a decade running, and that California Matters.org has an article saying that Black people are disproportionately homeless in California. So with all that in mind, and with me understanding that our ancestors wanted us to have land as a part of our reparations claim, indeed, that's the reason HR 40 is called HR 40. It's from 40 acres and a mule. And I'll shout out Gavin Newsom for returning Bruce's Beach back to the family it's owed to. Essentially, what I've done is I've literally looked up how many acres are owned federally in California. Of the 100 million, it looks like 45 million are still owned by the federal government. If every Black American, assuming we're 2 million of the population, receives acres, that would be 22.5 acres if we split all that up. If 2 people who are Black American slave descendant get married, you would receive your 40 acres claim in America. And again, we're talking about climate change. We're the youth. We're talking about the same 2035 deadline that Gavin Newsom's talking about, that Joe Biden even is talking about. We want space on our land for solar panels, for supercharger stations, to bring us traffic to businesses that we would own, vertical farms, and to pair with businesses in California that are removing plastic from the Pacific Ocean so we can create sustainable housing for the homeless out there too. So please address homelessness by addressing our 40 acres claim. And the acres are there, as well as the industries that can help to support us in the next generation. Thank you guys again for the space and time. Peace and reparations.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Trini?
The next speaker is Marcus Champion. You've been unmuted. You may now speak. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Marcus Champion. I'm a board member for NAASDLA, which is the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants, Los Angeles, as well as a member of CJAC, a Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. I know today this meeting is not about eligibility, but on our recent episode of Politics in Black, and I wanted to shout out all of the task force members who have appeared on our show, especially Don Tamaki, who was on our latest show. Also on that show, we had Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, who is the chair of law at UC Berkeley. Dean Chemerinsky is one of, if not the foremost professional of constitutional law in the country. And so on that show, we asked the dean about eligibility and whether this should be a lineage discussion or a race discussion. Dean Chemerinsky agreed with us that in order to tackle reparations and for it to not be challenged after the fact, this needs to be a lineage discussion. What the dean also said is that if this is solely about race, then that opens up to Prop 209 violations in California, as well as equal protection violations when you're talking about reparations broadly. So again, I know today is not about eligibility, but I would ask the task force to vehemently go after Dean Chemerinsky to speak as an expert when it comes to eligibility. When it comes to the rest of our Black brothers and sisters, this isn't about exclusion. This is about making sure that we win at the end of the day. One of my previous colleagues, Chris Lotchin, or was it Friday Jones, talked about John Tatishi also being on the show. And one thing that you find if you read the Handbook of Reparations, you find that there was a specific group that was named in Japanese internment in terms of eligibility, but there were also groups outside of that that had side cases and side lawsuits that were able to make their case as well. So when it comes to this discussion in California, when it comes to reparations in America, this is a lineage discussion about the African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States, and all other cases, while they are valid, are separate cases. So again, I would ask the task force in future discussions to bring in Dean Erwin Chemerinsky. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Champion.
The next commenter is Chad Brown. Chad Brown, you've been unmuted. You may now speak. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, good morning, members of the task force. It's good to see you all again. Thank you once again for your time. I reiterate all the comments by my colleagues previously in our thanks and our appreciation for your time, hard work, and commitment all throughout this year, all throughout 2021. My colleague Marcus Champion from NAASDLA just spoke. We also sit on the steering committee of Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. And quite frankly, he just stole my thunder. So I will reiterate really what he said. If you have not had a chance to view the last broadcast of Politics in Black with Dean Chemerinsky from UC Berkeley Law, I would encourage all of you, I strongly encourage all of you to please view that episode. Dean Chemerinsky, as you know, is one of our foremost legal or constitutional law scholars in the country. He has argued in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. And we engaged him to make sure that we were taking into consideration any legal ramifications here in the state of California and also broadly at the federal level with any reparations proposals or initiatives that come out of either this task force or out of Congress, whether that be with Bill H.R. 40 or executive order. So I just wanted to call in, and again, Marcus Champion really nailed it here. Just please take this into consideration. Again, understanding this meeting here is not about eligibility, but that is the overarching topic that really needs to be tackled, defined very clearly as you think about setting a template and a model for reparations at the federal level. So again, thank you again for your time, your commitment, your hard work. I'm wishing all of you a very happy holidays. Have a very happy new year. Have a great meeting today. I look forward to hearing the discussions today. We've been talking about it all week and we're all very excited. But please continue the hard work, and I look forward to continuing this with you in 2022. So have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thanks so much for your comments today.
The next commenter is Michelle Harris Price. You have been unmuted. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm Michelle Harris Price, and I'm actually the co-chair of the San Diego Promise Zone Economic Activities Committee. And I would love to know how this was publicized because I just learned about it like 20 minutes ago and jumped on because I got a text and thought this could not be happening live. And when I clicked through, I went through all the stuff to get here, and I'm really excited. I just want to add, I want to offer a couple of resources, and I'm not sure if you guys are, I'm not sure where this is or where we are in the process or anything, but in Detroit, my best friend is a PR pro, and they're doing something. There's something called Reparation Generation there, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that organization, but they are actually transferring $25,000 in for homeownership in Detroit, and that's the name of this program that they've created. And then there's a man named Sean Rochester who's done a talk at Google, and he calls it the Black Tax, and he's actually done a very good calculation of how to determine how to determine what reparations look like and how much it looks like. He's an economist, and he's done a lot of work towards this. So finally, I'd like to just say thank you so much for what you're doing, and I'm going to follow this work. I don't know. I'll see if there's a calendar invite or something. So thanks a lot for everything that you guys are doing.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Harris Price.
Okay, we have the next commenter is Harriet A. Barton. Ms. Barton, you've been unmuted. You have 3 minutes. You may begin speaking.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, task force. And I would just like to say that, yes, reparations is cash payments and specific policy for the harmed, which is descendants of chattel slavery. And also, I'd like to say that I wish that the panel could focus on the eligibility for Californians, because there could be Californians that have left in the last year or so because of employment issues, and also that were brought here as children and are here still struggling. So if they could address that, early on in the process. Okay. And also, there's lots of forms of discrimination, and in California especially, there is a problem with illegal immigration that affects descendants of slavery. I just feel that language being required for certain jobs, like speaking
Yes. So we're hoping that you are enjoying this this hearing, right? This hearing on how we are centering the Black radical tradition through um, knowing that tomorrow is Martin Luther King's Day, right? Um, let's see. All right. And so here we are in the second part of our show today. We have been talking about just what is your role in this Martin Luther King's Day tomorrow when we say no celebration without legislation. And so, yeah, that means we are expecting those of you, if you've been watching um, the AB 3121 for California reparations hearings, you know, we are actively showing what it looks like to be in our governments, to be there here in California, yeah, or anywhere, in making these calls to your state representative, your state councilman, your state senate, your city council, and giving them directive to take your message. That means voicemail as well as email, but also to reply back because you are paying their tax dollars. So bombard them tomorrow with this information that the legacy of Martin Luther King is truly that he is our ancestor. And his legacy is that we will not be celebrating, having parties and parades and lunches and breakfasts. And yes, we have the day off, so we have the day off, but his bloodshed adheres for us, you know, that we step forward and take action. So on that note, we are going to continue this last part of our show today, and we will start with the second part of our show tomorrow, our show next Sunday, to show you AB 3121. But we are grateful and we are thankful that you know it is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. So enjoy this week. Be a part of good trouble. Be a part of leaving the legacy of Martin Luther King, that if they're not doing right, and 14 states have reverse voting rights, it is our duty to step up. Thank you. Sorry we are not here 24 hours, 365 days of the year, 24/7, you know, and so we are here though every Sunday, and it is our duty. Please stay tuned for next Sunday, and we will continue the AB 31 reparations for California.